All right. It's time for me to review my own predictions. There's not enough honesty on the internet. I can't just throw them out without reviewing them. They can't have possibly been that bad, though, right? Like, there's no way that they were actually that bad. Don't fool yourself. Turkey's good. Never mind. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm literally too bad. Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it. I have to do it. I'm doing it. Start with Group A, which I find really fascinating because the Italians are in the same category for Spain in my mind, where they're like, they are always going to have a lot of talent. But do they have that elite level talent, or is the kind of talent that just does? I spend a lot of time playing Football Manager. I spend a lot of time watching the sport, but I obviously am not going to end up knowing more than a collection of you, right? Like, these prediction videos are my attempts at having a good time, which are then beaten down very convincingly by the couple of people that find the redeeming qualities, and maybe the fact that Italy had won 28 games in a row, and I probably should have known that before making this video. That not lost in 28 games in a row. But we're going to break down my predictions, and I'll have you know, at least from what I can remember, and I know this, I didn't get it all wrong. I got a lot of it wrong. I didn't get all of it wrong. Very important distinction that we will spend the next however long maintaining. Okay, we're starting in Group A, which was the group that had Italy, Turkey, notably here, Switzerland in it, and it also had Wales. It is worth looking at the actual rosters and pass the flag every once in a while, and I legitimately think that Turkey has a more talented front line than Switzerland, who they'll be coming up against. Because that's maybe on paper, man, but who could have seen Haris Seferovic turning into like an actual player, right? Haris Seferovic is the type of dude that everybody knows has a lot of talent, but he kind of becomes a meme. He's caught a flow with Benfica, but even at the beginning of the tournament, he would be missing chances, and they're like, well, there goes Harris again, you know. It wasn't completely out of the blue that I made that pick. I'm just trying to I'm literally, this is not the hill to die on, Zealand. Okay. Question in this group. I can bluster about how I think the Italians are not as good as them. Italy's first. At least first, mate. I was okay. I think Turkey is second. I think Switzerland's going to go through. And I don't think people realize exactly how much of an afterthought Wales is. Gareth Bale is not a hard carry player anymore. And I say that as somebody who stands for Gareth Bale. I simp for Gareth Bale. He's one of my favorite players of all time. They are going to finish last in this group. Hal Robson-Kanu isn't his way by Belgium again. He's just not. Like, I'm funny. Wales got shown out a little bit, obviously, in the knockout stages, but they have a system for their national team. They play to it. When you actually have a system that you understand and you have a selfless group of players in an international stage, you can go far. It's going to be tough for them to make the World Cup, though. I think everybody knows that. I hope they do, though. Group B. I honestly don't remember what I said about this. I know that I had Belgium won. Outside of that, it's amazing how little I remember what I thought was going to happen. But look, if Finland's going to beat anybody, I think it would probably be Russia, a non-doped up Russia. Denmark, it's just like, they're just a little too much better cut. I was wrong on that, but can you blame me? Also, definitely happy that Christian Eriksen's okay. Apparently he went to the final. I don't know if I actually saw him on camera at the final. There were a lot of other things going on at Wembley, but that is really neat, and I'm glad that ended up being okay. And it did kind of overshadow what on paper is like the biggest win for the Finland national team of all time, which in a sporting sense for them is obviously unfortunate, but they certainly did better than I expected at the point of this prediction. And God, Russia sucked. Get me out of this group. Which brings us to this Group C, that I think Austria is going to actually end up the top of this. Austria is the type of team that every time I look at them, I know they should be doing better than they are. They're littered with Bundesliga talent, and this means a couple of things. One, they're not going to be intimidated because they're used to playing world-class players all the time, up and down their roster. They've got Arnautovic, who can pop off in an Austrian jersey. And by pop up, of course, I mean yell obscenities at opposition players that are ethnically charged. But I was right about Austria. Okay, now I might have picked a lot of things that were wrong. I was right about the Austrians. Boom. And they have a couple of cheeky players that, like, Sabitzer is really good. I do think Netherlands gets second, though. The trick. Now, I wasn't right that they were first. I was right that the Austrians were going to be good. I mean, they pushed the Italians, who ended up winning the whole thing pretty darn far in the round of 16 extra time. I mean, that's some spicy stuff. They played well. They got their first 2 wins at a European Championship ever, literally. Trick is, I think Ukraine's getting third and Macedonia's fourth. It's almost Ukraine has a goalkeeper named Anatoly Trubin. I love him. Every time I've watched him play, he has been a god. He will carry Ukraine to third. He didn't even play. This is going to be tighter than I think it should be, but Ukraine's going. Group D, this is where we try and counsel English people watching this video, which is about 35% of you, through the fact that England is actually an incredibly talented team that has like 3 or 4 layers of players that would be able to get out of a group stage in this competition. Croatia is getting second because Croatia is also a tremendously talented team, and everybody just always ignores that fact. Czechia is a defensive-oriented team that is going to be happy to be here, and I do think Scotland has a chance to get out of this group if it can beat Czechia. Stop it, Zealand. Stop it, Zealand. I think that I was drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much on Scotland. I wanted them to mean, oh, flight of Scotland. Drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much. Now, the Czechs have actually made the European Championship every time since Czechoslovakia broke apart, but they certainly peaked when I was young, and then it went whoop. But now it's kind of going, like, I really like Patrick Schick now. I knew who he was, but I didn't really know who he was. I knew the name. I'd run into him in Football Manager. I knew he'd played in the Bundesliga, right? But I hadn't watched him a ton. Obviously, if I had, I probably would have had a different approach than the Czechs are happy to be here, happy to keep their qualification streak alive. Group E, Spain, I do not think is great. And this is another opportunity to inject some of that chaos, because you know that things will not play out according to plan. They never do. Iceland shows up and draws Portugal in the group stage and then beats England in the knockouts. Like, things happen every international tournament that you just don't really see coming, but you knew were possible. And I think that's where we come in with Poland. Poland. No! Why did I go for Poland, dude? What am I doing? Oh, Zealand. I am hopeless. Poland needs to grab, a moment. I think they can grab this one. They can. Obviously, fortunate to be recording this when we are. We're coming out with this video a little later than most people who are predicting this. Look, Spain, a lot of uncertainty. They missed their final tune-up game, right? The COVID situation where Busquets is out, which is a big blow by itself, but the rest of the team, they're all being, quarantined and tested. That's going to be a very difficult situation. And all of that together, you're playing Lewandowski, who I think everybody in the Poland camp is aware this is the last national tournament potentially with him at the peak of his power. You gotta go. You gotta go now. Huge credit to Spain for overcoming that whole COVID situation at the beginning, and I feel terrible for Alvaro Morata. The dude is a walking meme, but he has more respect for me than he did at the start of this tournament as a legit star center forward for one of the biggest national teams in the world, because if he doesn't come in score in semifinal, like, he doesn't have the opportunity to choke and miss the penalty, right? Now to the final group, where a Hungary team that has already been kicked while it's down, Dominik Szoboszlai, who is their wonder kid, is not at this tournament. So sick, right? On that note, can you imagine how capable Hungary would have been of knocking out Germany if Szoboszlai had been there? Like, they did this without their best player. a player in Dominic Szoboszlai who he obviously is very good. He is the most talented, most valuable player on Transfermarkt from Hungary, whatever. So the fact that they were missing that type of dude who's by far their best player, still not quite at the level of the teams they're playing, and they did as well as they did. Wildly impressive. Who do I think is going to win the group? I think it's the French. Look, Football Manager actually doesn't think it would be the French in this situation, but look, France is the reigning World Cup champion. I think they've really improved from that point. There's so much confidence and faith in the team. They're just going to end up there. I don't think I'm the only one that fell for this. The French not being the head and shoulders best team in this tournament, not necessarily not winning it, but not looking like the best team and then, getting upset somewhere along the way, was a shock. That was a shock. Like, shock. Germany is a team in transition, but Joachim Löw is a very good coach. I think this is going to be incredibly. My God, so much like vitriol for this. But you cannot tell me that Jogi Löw didn't outcoach Fernando Santos when he played Portugal and didn't come up with a game plan that gave him the opportunity to win the games that Germany played in this tournament. I just think that the German national team didn't have enough team cohesion, to borrow a Football Manager term, to get through. Germany did better in this tournament, I think, than a lot of German fans assumed they would. They did not finish behind South Korea, which has to be considered a win. Is this the way the group ended up? I honestly don't even remember. I got one group right. I got the group of death right. I got every other group wrong. Yes, Zealand, put it on a board. 1 for 6 on the groups. How'd we do in the knockouts? But Portugal is going to go through. Like, we're going to go ahead and select them as one of the third place teams to go through. Another one of the third place teams that I think is probably a good bet is Denmark. Denmark is going to be able to pick up likely 3 points against Finland, and I want to make sure we have them in the knockouts because they're very capable of beating like a Russian team too. The third team is going to be Switzerland. I think the Swiss are just completely unkillable in these competitions. They find a way. They just scrap their way into a knockout stage, inevitably to lose in the first round. I was so close. Other than that last sentence, I was right to have Switzerland there. Would I have picked them to beat France? No. The final spot completely up for grabs here between Sweden and Scotland. I don't think Ukraine's going to grab it. Again, I think North Macedonia could totally draw them. North Macedonia, I don't believe is the worst team at this tournament. I know a lot of other people believe that, but like, I just don't. Especially with the enthusiasm, like the edge that they play with. And we're talking about a team that actually drew Germany in Germany. They're capable of that because they put their heart. Here's a great example of how playing so much Football Manager and like casually keeping up with everything in real life as well gives me an idea to break down certain players and tactics. But this is a prime example of these are my hunches and inklings, and this is not a scientific endeavor. I just can't do it. It's Sweden. It's gotta be Sweden. Go me. I got another knockout stage. You've got a weakened Spain. The other team is Poland. All four of these teams made it, so a very fringe dark horse. Let's get to the knockout stages. So that pins Belgium against Sweden. I do think that Belgium and its golden generation, as much as they might not like each other, is going to get themselves into the next round. As much as I might have been wrong about my inklings of teams, I think I was really, really accurate on who is in the round of 16, even if it was kind of in the wrong order. Like all 7 teams that I can see right here all obviously made it, and France and Switzerland was the right pick. The Italians and the Dutch. Well, I wasn't high on the Dutch, so I am gonna go Italy, even though I also believe this. I might have badmouthed Italy, but I did at least get them through the quarterfinals. I know for a fact that I had them lose to Belgium though, so we'll soak up all the credit I can get now. This Italian team is going to be somewhere around Spain, where they're a giant. They've got great players, but it's just not quite clicking. It's not turning over. I know they're going to be able to host matches. That's the sentence that dooms me there. To say it's not clicking when a team hasn't lost in 28 straight international matches is just so objectively wrong. I had the last time I watched the Italian national team was in World Cup, like the World Cup playoff for the World Cup in 2018. Like that is the last time I watched the Italian national team. And that was the freeze frame that carried forward, I think, for a lot of people going into this tournament. But if you know that a team has not lost in 28, they're immediately one of the favorites in the tournament. They should have been for me. Just completely wrong, objectively. But when you get to the knockouts, that's going to be a bit more interpretive. But being able to play in Rome, Italy hasn't lost in Rome in like 60 years or something. I like how I don't know they've won 28 straight, but I know that. I know that fact. But I don't know they haven't lost in 28 straight. I need like a filing system up here. Crazy like that, so it'll bolster them through playing against somebody like the Netherlands. Here's where Spain just being a bit of a shadow of itself with the COVID situation comes into play. I think I was honestly probably more wrong about Spain than I was about Italy. Spain, obviously maybe their early results in the tournament were affected by the COVID situation they had, but then they played their way into their system. Spain can get 65% possession against almost anybody in the world except maybe France, maybe Brazil, in my opinion. So they still are that team, and I was giving Croatia a lot more credit than I should have. England, Germany. Ooh. I think yeah, I was right. Zealand was right. He picked something right after probably my worst pick, which was Poland to get to the quarterfinals. I did have England v Germany, and I picked England to win it. So, England walks it. I think England is able to get through that. I'm changing my pick. I literally talked myself into it. I'm like, look, Denmark has too much talent to be losing. Yeah! Zealand got better. Didn't put Poland in the quarters. Now Austria, Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo, 1-0. Brutal loss for the Austrian team that provided so much to root for in the group stages. That was basically the way that Austria exited. So I had a really good feel for Austria in this tournament. England and Denmark is... I scratched what I said earlier. Russia was the worst pick I had in the tournament. but I did attach an asterisk to it. So it's just a tie that England has to win. I mean, like, there is nobody on this Danish... Yes! Go Zealand! Come on, man. The picks are coming home. Yes! Team. We have comparable talent to like the top 7 or 8 English players. I literally picked England's like route. England, Germany, England, Denmark. We were just missing Ukraine in the middle, but congrats to Ukraine though. They've got a bright future. Oh, you have no idea how much I want to pick Croatia in this match. This Croatian team is great. It's young, exciting. I think that they're going to be able to do a lot of great things in this tournament. Shoot, I have them beating Spain. I have them making it very difficult for England in the tournament. But this is a France team that if its head is screwed on right, is going to lose this game. I gotcha. No, look, you just... in Zealand. What are you doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Why Croatia is the worst pick I got in this tournament. Croatia and Russia. What am I doing? What is that? Why? I mean, France lost, so I was right. They were getting upset. Maybe not Croatia. I mean, Croatia took Spain to extra time, but that was an insane game. Belgium and Italy, I think we have a... Sorry, the power just went off while I was filming this, so this framing looks a little weird. I live in a third world country. It's called the United States. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Our power grid's kind of rusty, but America, leave me alone, please. I didn't mean it. All right. Right there. Ciro Immobile has had a fantastic season, but he has never been a player that struck me as somebody that can carry a team. Verratti has not impressed me. Before I say a bunch of things that are wrong, I would like to point out that I was kind of right on Ciro Immobile, and he is not the guy that can carry a team. Now, did he need to carry the team? No. Croatia, Belgium, England, Portugal. Oh, tasty semifinal at the bottom. Only got one of the 4 semifinalists right. So it's at this point, after 13 of 16 of the knockout stage teams, that I want to end the video. But Belgium got to the semifinal last time, and they're going to bludgeon their way all the way to the final this time. England and Portugal. Portugal, I feel like, hasn't matured enough to be able to win that game, which brings us to a Belgium-England final. This would be the first time England's ever made it to a European Championship final, but experience is going to rule the day here. England as a squad is well experienced at getting to the latter stages of tournaments, but in 2018 we were talking about a team that had Jesse Lingard and Dele Alli playing important roles in it. So now this is a new breed of guys that are expected to lead this team outside of Harry Kane, outside of like Maguire and Kane. The creative engines are young. But the issue for Belgium is that they are not world class through basically every position in the same way that England is. I do think though that the determination and the experience of Belgium is going to play a big role here. I'm really torn though. The safe pick here is, look, Belgium is going to get out of their group basically every time with a pretty favorable draw in the knockouts. Plot twist. Their draw was less than favorable. Also, I know that somebody's going to be like, yo, Luke Shaw should start. I think Chilwell's better. I'm sorry. I did not say that. That is an imposter. Roberto Carlos is the best left back in the world. Oh, who wins? I think it's time. I think Belgium, they got to get one, right? I mean, Lukaku is... I like how one, my logic is they've got to get one, and we'll just leave it there. Obviously, I was wrong picking Belgium to win, but I somehow did have England losing in the final, and that is what ended up happening. I'm very sorry. I did not know what type of power I possessed.